Of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. This is where every show is our first show, because we don't move to episode 2 till we get episode 1 right. We've yet to do so. Guys, with me today, as always, we got Sports Beard. Say hello, Sports Beard.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for coming in.
And with us today on Wrestling on the Rocks, special guest drinking buddy, we got Shakes. Say what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me on the show. Shakes Montana.
Nice. Yeah, Beard's been working with you a little bit over there, is my understanding, and he put in a whole lot of good words about you. So tell me a little bit about the Shakedown Sports Podcast, if I could, just start off the top of.
Oh, thank you, man. It's really a sports show, but it's Giants fan-based. So our slogan is, the show for the fans, by the fans. So it's a lot of fans that interact with the show. And we've been doing it for 8 years, and we finally got to the YouTube platform. So the Shakedown Show, y'all can check it out on the YouTube channel. And yeah, man, we're doing a lot of big things here.
Yeah, and you can check it out on Twitter too, at Shakedown Show, as well, to follow them. Giants is dope, man. When I was living in New York, my family pulled me aside because they're all like from Chicago, and they're like, before you move to New York, you have to know you could never rep the Yankees or the Mets. Or no, not the Mets. Was it the Giants?
Yankees and Jets?
Jets were the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it all mixed up.
Okay.
I'm really into sports, as you can tell. I get them mixed up pretty regularly.
Yeah. It's the Yankees and the Jets. It's always divided when it comes to New York teams. So if you're a Giant fan, more than likely you're not a Jet fan. And if you're a Yankee fan, more than likely you're not a Met fan. And if you're a Ranger fan, then more than likely you're not an Islander fan.
Same with like the Cubs and the White Sox.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've always
And
found
LA
that funny.
teams too, like Clippers and Lakers. They don't get along. So yeah.
I love that
Who?
stuff.
What was the first team? They're a basketball team? I never heard of the Clippers.
That's Blake's
Disrespectful.
homegrown, right?
You see the Magic Johnson jersey I have in the back, so
Disrespectful. I
fucking Clippers.
see you. I understand.
Yeah.
Call me when the Clippers get 17 world championships.
Yeah, they got a long way to go.
Baby steps. They're rebuilding, right? That's what they say?
Yes.
Yeah.
For a long time.
It's a slow process. Building's a slow process. Thanks for coming through, though. We hear that you're a big wrestling fan. You don't get to talk about wrestling as much as you'd like, so we're happy to have you in here, man.
Yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I've been hunting him down like, man, when y'all doing the show? Can I get on? When can I get on, man? I want to talk wrestling, man. Yeah, man, I'm excited.
Let's start with something real simple. Go ahead, Beard.
Oh, no. Go. Yeah, sorry.
Let's start with something real simple. Let's do a little bit of what's in your glass. What are you drinking, Beard?
My man Steakone Berkeley's X2, man, really good, loving it. And then got the Liquid Death, a little water.
Oh yeah. We are partially a drinking show, but it is not what you're drinking. It's who you're drinking with. So don't fret if it's non-alcoholic. Shakes, what are you drinking?
Man, I got a bottle of water, but
Good.
I left it downstairs, so I gotta go.
I'm actually finishing up some coffee, and I got actually Crystal Light. I'm back to drinking a little bit here and there. I did a month where I wasn't drinking at all, but I just didn't feel like it today, so I'm not doing it today. So, but again,
Yeah, Shake, sometimes we drink booze on the show.
Hey, man, I would love it. Let me know next time. I'll have me a bottle waiting. We can do this thing right way.
Ref Marsh and I are on the detox mode right now. Your boy polished off a bottle of Terramana, and he did some shit that wasn't proud of. So he's like, I'm taking a break.
Yeah, taking a little break.
Hey, you need to do that sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to detox from time to time. That's what we've been doing, detox a little bit. But again, it's not what you're drinking, it's who you're drinking with, and we're happy that you're all here as our drinking buddies today. I don't have anything, I don't think, news-wise that I thought was ultimately super relevant to WWE specific. Saw a few things news-wise that are more relevant towards AEW, the NXT, ROH, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to hit on that tomorrow night in the dive bar of the IWC. in a brand new episode 1 tomorrow. So as it stands now, I think we can get into the shows.
Oh, real quick question. How's Clump doing? Are you going to have Clump on the show? Is he doing okay? Or I know he wasn't on last week, so...
Yeah.
Is he doing okay?
There's family stuff going on. He's not going to make it back for tomorrow. Someone in his life is going through a routine medical procedure, but it is going to be an overnight, and he wants to make sure that he's able to be there and take care of the little ones and stuff. So he's going to miss tomorrow too, but we'll get him back eventually. No one stays gone for too long.
No worries. I just was making sure. I know you said he was having some health stuff, and I just was hoping he was doing okay. So good to hear.
He's doing great, and it's a routine procedure, so it should be all good. So yeah. Other than that, and then also similar news, next week should be the return of Kevlar. He should be coming back here after his long hiatus with the kids' sports teams. It's funny, he's not a Cubs fan. I am a Cubs fan, and his little boys ended up in the local Cubs team, and he was like sending me pictures, and I was like, I love it. He goes, I hate it.
White Sox, huh?
No, he's not. He's a Diamondbacks fan.
Yeah.
Okay, he just hate the Cubs.
Yeah, because he lives
like
in.
I don't like the Orioles here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Baltimorean, but I hate the Orioles here. So yeah.
So what happens when they're shoved down your throat, right?
Shout out to the Yankees.
Nice.
I mean, Baltimore hasn't been good in a long time. Hey, Shakes, just for your edification, I sent you the link to Ref Marsh's website for Wrestling on the Rocks, and he does recaps for all the shows. He puts together a beautiful, picture package. So if you're going through and you're like, oh yeah, I do remember that or whatever, it just helps you go through. So I texted that to your thing. You'll be able to look at some of the stuff if you go to the links. He has a recap section. It's really well put together, and I want to brag about it a little bit. So I just wanted you to see it if you're like, oh yeah, what did happen at Raw or SmackDown? So. Anyway, sorry about that, Marsh. We can get
and I try to put more of what's going on because
top of my dome, baby.
Yeah, because I've noticed that a lot of the recaps that I would pull up are just strictly going match to match. They've barely mentioned what happens in storyline or in interview segments, and that's over half the show most of the time. It's storyline, right? So I started doing our own recaps so we can follow along and remember how it actually played out on screen versus. And we don't do those stupid grades. I'm not a big fan of the amount of people who are recapping it and grading these professionals like they're doing below average. And it's like, it's one thing to say if it's connecting with you. It's another thing to say, oh, that's a D- from Seth Rollins. You're like, okay. We don't need to be grading them.
If Seth Rollins graded the match himself, I would be. If Seth Rollins was like, oh, I thought it was a C, I'd be like, okay, Seth Rollins wasn't happy with it. But
yeah.
I don't give a shit. I'm with you too. We stay away from what we call the dirt sheets, Shakes. We try to keep it positive, but we'll invariably talk about shit we hate, Veer, Charlotte, stuff like that. But for the most part, we try to stay away from the rumor mill and shit because reporting in wrestling is so much different than the sports world,
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the other thing is people giving grades and star ratings like they're some sort of expert on it, and everyone's got their own. I'm not just singling out Meltzer. He's in his classic star rating. Everyone has their own grading system, and it's all it's one thing to say connecting, not connecting. It's nothing to say subpar. Okay, you're the one giving
Meltzer
the grades.
Stole his star rating from WWE 2K. So anyway,
that's what they do.
I love that.
Bite world.
It's so funny. There is a whole history to the star ratings, and they did not originate with Meltzer. However, we won't get all into all of that. Let's talk the show. As far as SmackDown goes, we're just going to go through WWE Wrestlemania Backlash Premium Live Event, the PLE from this weekend, and we're going to kind of break down those storylines, and we may highlight certain things. I'm just going to look real quick at the SmackDown results and just see if there was a segment that was not... Oh, you know what was on there that had nothing to do with Backlash? Was Gunther and Drew Gulak. I did want to know what you thought about that beard, because we've talked for a couple weeks now about how we were ready to see him move on from local enhancement talent. Now we saw him with someone who you may not be ultimately familiar with, but the rest of us pretty much are.
Well, so I knew Drew Gulak was a wrestler. At least he's a wrestler and not some local show guy. In fairness to Gunther, he only did like 2 of the local talents.
Yes. Which
to me was fine. Like that was just a right amount of time, perfect. I love the shtick. It feels like it's missing a guy. It feels like it's missing one person from NXT. It feels like it would be better as a trio. We've talked about this before. I don't know what the issue there was. The other guy with an Imperium, because it's really more about Gunther now, and the other guy seems like I almost feel like he's not needed. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just Gunther. Yeah. I don't know that he's adding to it. I love his voice and it sounds foreign. So hey Justin, time. Hope all's going. I'm a fan of him. I want to see him in a longer, really good match, but it's one of those heel things that I like because it's got like a story build.
Yeah. Shakes, what is your impression of Gunther? Have you been watching him since before he showed up?
Yeah, the NXT and everything, NXT Europe and all that UK, real quick, I'll speak on both of them, really, Drew Gulak and Gunther. First, I want to talk about Gulak, though, because I like the what they doing with him, right? Because they were looking for something to do. They was looking for a role for him. Mm-hmm. And you can tell like he's good with the mic. Yeah. But in the ring, he's not really that entertaining. So to come up with these little sticks like okay, now he's the ring announcer and now he's the guy that rings the bell. I like what they was doing with that. And also, Charlotte beating him up every week, like, can't you just do your job? Like, that was awesome for me, right? Like, I would love to just beat up on somebody that's not doing their job right and be like, just do your job, right? So, so I love what they're doing with him. Now, Gunther, I agree with y'all. I think it should be a stable. Of European guys. Maybe even if they threw him with the
Fight Night.
The holy trio, right?
Fight Night with Sheamus, Butch,
Sheamus
and Ridge.
And I would think that would be perfect. That European guys, so they will beat up on people. I think that would be awesome. But I think that he should be in a stable. Him by himself, it just seems like they are searching for his role, and I don't like it that way. But that's
a good point. As a stable, having a tag team with a singles felt much stronger right now. Like you said, Ludwig's coming across more like a manager than he is like a wrestler, and we know. I mean, at least me and Shakes know this guy can go. Like, he is good. He's also an incredible tag team technician. So it does feel like it's either missing a third or missing a clarity. You know what I mean? Like, put Ludwig in some singles matches too, where Gunther's just around, and so it at least seems like two dudes on the same trajectory or same plan. It just, at this point, he's just accompanying Gunther to the ring. And for what? Like, he's not coaching him. He's not screaming at him to do stuff. He's not Jimmy Hart getting the crowd riled up. He's just standing there watching. Like, a little bit of clarity would be nice. I agree with that for sure. Or strengthen that thing. I'd hate to say it, but Fight Night is they would likely rival a team from Austria and Germany, right? Like, I would not want to toe that line of allies.
That would be a nice little war.
Yeah.
Yeah, typically the English don't like the Germans because they bombed the shit out of them for fucking a decade during World War II. So what I'll say is, if we're gonna do what Shake said, I'm happy to cut Butch and see him leave and have Gunther join the
Actually,
bye Butch.
Now that you mention it, Butch and Ludwig as a tag team could be incredible. Like, you haven't seen enough of Butch to know what he's capable of in the ring, but he is capable of some monster stuff, and Ludwig and him could actually pair very well. So I'd almost break him away from Fight Night and let him join Imperium, straighten up, quit being a rabid little dog, and start being an intense little technician, and that could go well.
Though.
I
like
that
little dog. Yeah, I like
Mm-hmm.
that. Like, you can't control them, and you gotta hold them back, and you gotta hold them down. Like, I love that. Like,
Nice.
It made it entertaining for me. I wasn't really a big fan of his. In the NXT and in Europe and all that. I don't like how he breaks people's fingers and he just twists this and this is so nasty. I can't watch it. I'm like, I can't watch him in the ring. But man, what they doing with him since he's been on Raw and then on the main screen, the dog type of thing, I like it. It's very entertaining.
To call it down the middle like a referee would, I would say that I kind of agree with both sentiments in that if you watched him in NXT, there was a certain part of his charisma that seemed almost lacking. This gives him a ton of charisma, which can be overbearing. So I do think that there is definitely room here for two sides. I also think that I think my favorite part about this version of Butch is his overwhelming investment, because I think that most of us have been watching wrestling for long enough to know that most people they don't end their career exactly how they started their career. And this is how he's getting introduced, and this is what they give him, and he is 100% invested. It seems to me like there's a bigger plan down the line where we'll see a different variation. But I love that he's giving it his all and making it like everything. So I could do something more in the middle for sure, but I think it's pretty cool that he's in there doing it. He's in the mix.
Yeah, he doesn't lack effort. I don't think that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. That was actually a great way to word that. And then on SmackDown, there was two other things as I'm looking at it. The women's tag title stuff. What do you think about all of that that's going on? We had Shayna versus Sasha. I mean, I thought Shayna versus Sasha actually was a really good match. Like, I don't think we've seen them one-on-one before, so it was really cool to see that breakdown. But what do you think about what they're doing with the women's tag champs? I want to ask you real quick, Shakes, first, because we've had people on here before that have ridiculed the tag titles, want them abolished. They want a mid-card title instead of, my perspective is it is the mid-card title. It's, getting 4 women in the ring and in a story at a time in the mid-card as opposed to 2. What do you think of the women's titles, what they're doing with them, the tag titles?
Well, before they even did it, I was lobbying for it. Because, all right, I seen the evolution of the whole thing, back when they had the Divas title and all that. And when the 4 horsewomen came along, that was it. That was it. When they came in, women's wrestling was just as equal as men's wrestling. So, and then they did the whole thing with, Stephanie, she wanted to build that. So my thing is, where they, to elaborate more, they got their own Hell in a Cell matches. They got their own ladder matches, their own Money in the Bank matches now. They got, you know what I'm saying? So they doing everything that you do with the men, they do with the females. Royal Rumble matches, right? So I seen all of this, and I was lobbying for a tag team titles. Now the thing about it is I want to go even further and have, well, which I don't know if they doing it now, because it looks like they're trying to gather all the titles up, and it's not going to be a Raw SmackDown thing anymore. But I was thinking have a Raw women's tag team, SmackDown's tag team. For them to go on both shows, I think it's just confusing and it's too much. That's where I don't like it. But I would go further and have it in both brands. But it looks like they are gonna unify all these titles anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'm a fan of the women's tag team titles.
Cool. And what do you think about Sasha Shayna?
I love them. I love them. I love watching them. I love the intro, everything. I mean, when they come on the screen, I can't look away. I can't, not at all. They dancing, they shaking their booties. I mean, it's unbelievable. and then they get in the ring and they kick ass. Can I curse on here?
Oh yeah, we curse all the time.
Kick ass, right?
Yeah.
They kick ass. I mean, Sasha is ruthless. I mean, for somebody that looks so good, oh, and she looks so good. But for somebody that looks so good to be so vicious, and then Naomi, her athleticism, man, it's amazing, and her booty, oh my gosh. But man, that's my favorite tag team in the world, man.
They're an awesome
tag team in the world.
I was actually at Elimination Chamber when Naomi won her first world title. It was amazing. The crowd went ballistic. It was so cool. Go ahead, Beard.
Yeah, I've talked about ad nauseum. Just Naomi is so fun, and just like Shake said, he said it so well. You can't take your eye off of them in the ring. I've been saying, Shake, so I took a long absence from like 2003 to this last year. I didn't watch a lot of wrestling. So I missed a lot of, and I kind of knew who was doing what or whatever, but I've just been back. So I missed a transition from divas to what the women are now. But what the women are now, if you're just coming in, they're every bit as good, if not better, than the men. Becky Lynch, we just said Sasha Banks, Naomi, Bianca Belair. That's women's stable. I stack it up to the men's, and it is so good. And I agree. Night in and night out, I like the women's stuff better than I'm seeing from the men. I'm not saying that the men's stuff is bad, but I just think the women's stuff is that good. So we don't have to spend any more time talking about that thing. I'm a huge Shayna Baszler fan. It has a lot to do with where she's from and how she grew up. And I know she's a MMA, and I'm a big MMA guy too. So, big fan of what she's doing in the ring too, and kind of glad to see her get a little bit of a push now, because they kind of had her on the back burner. It felt like this last year.
Yeah,
so I wish her and Ronda Rousey, Ronda Rousey and Natalya. I wish they would make a stable.
That would work. That would work really good, because I was just thinking Shayna's going to have to break away from Natty to join Ronda, but you make a better point of why. Natty and Ronda have story too. That's how it started. That's how Ronda came in, was as Natty's friend. So that's actually a great point.
Yeah.
I love stables though, man. If y'all can't tell, I love NWO.
Yeah.
Yeah, so is Kev. Kev's constantly trying to push more factions. Anytime he sees people interact, he goes, "That could be a faction." And the same point, producer lady here. Every time she sees someone, she immediately starts thinking who they could team with. And I was like, "Why are you guys obsessed with tag teams? Come on."
Man, I love the groups, man. I love the stables.
Go ahead.
Just a quick mention. Bloodline, greatest stable right now. But go ahead. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, they the ones, man. They the ones.
They the fucking nuns. Fuck the Bloodline. Fuck the Bloodline.
I knew you was gonna be a hater.
Yeah, he's a hater. He doesn't like heels. Anytime that he really hates someone, you circle back. It's the heels. It's the heels.
No, I do like heels. I just don't like heels that are heels because they can be. I like heels. But for the most part, I root for the babyface storyline. That's true. Sorry, Shane.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. I love it.
And you know what? That's awesome. And I'm looking forward to having a lot of more debates with you, because I can't stand fan favorites. I love heels. I don't like when they playing for the crowd. I hate it. So we're going to debate a lot about that.
That'll be fun, man. And I love it too, because you know what? At the end of the day, if you're in the crowd and you really want to see someone lose, that's all I need. I don't care who it is you really want to see lose, as long as you're out there viscerally cheering for your guy, whoever is in that match at the time. I love it, man. Going to the events, I think, is awesome for that. I want to ask you guys about two more things on SmackDown, and we'll move on. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn ultimately gives a haluva kick to Shinsuke, gets the 10 count out. They hadn't touched ground on it yet, though I'm hoping they touch on it just a little bit here on this next SmackDown. in the Thunderdome era, there was a period of time where Shinsuke Nakamura and Sami had a rivalry over the Intercontinental Championship. Around that same time, Sami was only getting count out victories, and he was cutting promos saying it's much more difficult to keep a man out of the ring for 10 count than it is to keep them on the floor for 3. And so he was trying to argue that it was a much more noble win to get a count out victory. I love the psychology of it. I like this little callback here. What'd you think of it, Beard? And then we'll go to Shake.
Well, I'll just say this. Because I know how much you like Sami Zayn, when I was watching that match, I was like, this is a great match. And who cares if it doesn't go beyond that? Sometimes it's just filler to be filler because they need to fill time. But anything that Sami Zayn touches turns to gold. He is such a brilliant story driver, and he's awesome. And I've appreciated him so much because of your insight into his character and stuff. He's great. And Shinsuke, that's probably the most I ever heard. He does miss Boogs. I miss Boogs. Yeah. Love that story. Pat does his dance. It was good, man. I had a lot of fun with that one.
And I love the way Sami got himself into the match. Overhearing the thing about Shinsuke going to Paul Heyman and saying, hey, I need to regain my credibility with the tribal chief and make sure Roman knows. Roman's got to know.
Yeah.
Don't let him worry about it. I'll take care of it.
I told you, I can get behind that stuff if the story is there, and that was great. I just love he's like lurking on the back and like, oh yeah. I was like, oh, here we go.
The fucking
but
the cartoonish, the cartoonish peering across the way.
Too. You knew he was gonna go snitch.
Yeah. Go ahead, Shakes. Tell me what you think about Shinsuke and Sami.
I agree with you, man. I love what they do with Sami Zayn. The conspiracy theorists, right? I just love that, man. You know, they trying to hold me back, man. They holding me down. I love it, man. And to for him to find a way to win these matches or come out on top or even like running away from Drew McIntyre 3 times in a row. You know, like, hey, look, man, you got it, man. I'm gone. You know, I just love what they do with Sami Zayn, man. And as far as what he did this Friday with Shinsuke, just being a higher assassin for the Bloodline, right? Just saying, look, man, like, I got y'all. I'm gonna get this done for y'all, and just going out there, and you know, I was because obviously I'm a big Bloodline fan, so I'm like, yeah, you better get it done, or the tribal chief is gonna get you. So I was so happy when he came out and actually won the match, and the way he wins the match is perfect. It's great. Like, you know, he didn't win it 1, 2, 3 pin the guy. Of course not. That's not Sami Zayn. He's gonna find a way. He's gonna weasel his way. He's like the Paul Heyman of actually wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's Paul Heyman, the wrestler. You know, so I love him, man.
He's amazing. The master strategist.
Let me caveat one thing because I want to be on the record.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Let me caveat one thing about Sami Zayn because I want to be on the record. If he gets into the Bloodline as an honorary member by being a snitch and doing this, I will be behind the Bloodline because that'll be fucking cool. That'll be hilarious and awesome. So I just want to be on the record and say, hey, you know I hate the fucking Bloodline, but I'm going to say, like, straight the fuck up, it's going to be the shit if Sami Zayn is in the Bloodline somehow, some way. He's parlayed this into helping them out. I'll be loving it. So.
I could see him as like a Two Stupid Dogs kind of a thing where they're all coming out slowly. And remember they did that with Kevin Owens and Sami, where Kevin was walking out all slow and Sami was dancing around him and looked like Nelson and Ralph and shit. I could see Sami doing that, being way overactive while the Bloodline is just standing there stoic. Like, it could be hysterical. I hope he makes his own T-shirts too. Like, remember that I Am Sami Zayn one Big E made him?
Look. They doing like this, and he running around.
Yeah. Yep.
I told you the Rock and Sock, RK Bro, those fucking unlikely pairings are the best fucking pairings in WWE history, in my opinion.
It's a great point. Great point. We've beat it to death, so I don't want to go in depth on this one, but we did see one more Lacey Evans chapter on this SmackDown, followed up by the ring announcer saying, here it goes, this has been a heart-wrenching story, and then she said, Lacey Evans is about to come out, but Lacey has asked that you show the proper respect. Please applaud and welcome Lacey Evans. That, to me, was a huge, weird shift, because most talent don't require the crowd to respond a specific way without being heelish, without being the bad guy. So it was a lot of, it felt like good faith story, which we felt like was overkill. And then, like I said, we don't need to dig into that deeper. But at the end of the day, it felt like they were really going good guy. We caught notes of bad guy things, you know, undermining a few people here and there that we thought was weird. But that announcement in and of itself specifically really left a giant question mark on my head, because she also came out then waving, cheering, flexing, acting like a total good guy. Were you guys as confused as I was in that moment? I'll start with Shakes.
What was the question?
Were you as confused
about Lacey Evans.
as at Lacey Evans' entrance?
I know that, but what was the question?
Were you as confused as I was about whether or not she's a good guy or bad guy here?
No. I think that they are definitely pushing that baby face on her. Mm-hmm. And they want the crowd to get behind her. No, she has an amazing story. She does. Yeah. She really does. But it seems like they are shoving it down the crowd's throats and saying, look how good she is. Look how much she went through. Look how much she overcame. Y'all must root for her. That's what I feel like they doing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's not good. I spent 25 years in the military. I'm like, I can be sympathetic, but like, we have talked about this on the show quite a bit. The first one, I'm like, okay. By the third one, I'm like, this bitch. Like, and then this was the 6th fucking one in a row. This one, and Ref Marsh and I talked about, this was the best one of all of them.
No. We're not talking about that one.
This one.
No. That's the one on Raw, which I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm just talking about the Smackdown intro where the announcer said, show her proper respects and applaud. That was the line that made me go, that's something you would boo normally. A character coming out demanding an applause. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, if you didn't catch it then. But then, yeah, I agree with you. Just to fast forward a little bit, because why wait too long? The Raw one was the best one. It was the longest one, but it also wasn't overkill. It was the entire story arc in one sitting. They should have done that on SmackDown and moved on. Had her come out the next week, have her in a match right away. Like, that one video would have been perfect.
Right.
One fucking time, not 6, WWE.
Yeah.
1.
I almost feel like they moved her to Raw to just do it right this time, which is so weird. Like, okay, let's pretend that didn't happen for 5 weeks. Let's do this now. And it's like, okay, well, we saw 5 weeks of that. Yeah. Shakes, did you like the Raw promo that she had?
Yeah. You know, I like the stories. Like I said, I still feel like it's, them shoving it down our faces and our throats, but to hear her story and exactly what she went through, especially with her father being an addict and all that, like it was a great story. It definitely was a great story.
She should be a good guy.
Said, and I agree with you. The SmackDown should have been it, or what they did on Raw, they should have did that on the SmackDown. Let it be over, and now let her be a wrestler and try to be that baby face and take that step that they want her to take.
Yeah,
that's what they doing. They pushing her.
Well, I half expect them to do what they did with Keith Lee and like promote the shit out of her and then release her. It feels like it's like a contract thing. It's like, I don't know, dude. Like, it's not great. So yeah, let's not belabor that point anymore. We got a long.
But we'll see. If she gets in the ring next week, I'll be happy. I'll say that much. If she just starts wrestling now, I'll be happy to move on and move forward and see what we get with her. But at this point, I'm done with the therapy sessions. And it was funny to see it on Raw, 'cause I went, that's all you had to do the once. Like, what? But let's move on. Let's talk about WrestleMania Backlash Premium Live Event, the PLE. It was only 6 matches, which I thought was... It seemed like a small amount up front, and I was immediately sitting there saying to myself, why isn't X, Y, and Z on the card? Why do we have only one women's match? Where's all these other storylines you could have squeezed in? But ultimately, the flow of the show went such that I'm pretty happy with the 6 matches we got, and they really, as WWE tends to do, when they underpromise, they overdeliver, and I think that's up to the talent. I think the talent goes out there and says, hey, people aren't getting everything. They're only getting this, so let's do it. And it felt like 6 matches of top stars. It was awesome. Started with Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. Shakes, what do you think about Cody Rhodes being back? What do you think about this rivalry with Seth Rollins? You could even talk about what happened on Raw. I want to know what you think. Because I think that me and Beard have kind of beat Seth and Cody to death about how much we're liking all this stuff. I don't know that we're going to have a lot to add there, but we haven't heard from you, so I want to know what you're thinking.
That's fine. That's good. I am a Seth Rollins fan. I like Seth Rollins, but Cody Rhodes coming back to WWE. First of all, I knew it was coming because I seen the rumors and everything.
Yeah.
So when he came to WrestleMania, I was like, I was telling my nephews, I'm like, it's gonna be Cody. Watch, it's gonna be Cody that faces Seth. They like, oh, he's AEW. I'm like, Cody. Sure enough, Cody, right? I think the storyline that he's doing, where he wants to come back and win the heavyweight title for his dad.
Yeah.
I think that's a great storyline right there, and it legitimizes him to win matches, because whereas though when he was there before, they had to do all the Stardust and all that thing. You know what I mean? They were searching for something to click and a hit for him. Mm-hmm. He went to AEW, found his own mark, and now he's back as that Cody Rhodes that is heavyweight material.
Yeah.
So I like it. I like that they got him going against Seth Rollins, because that is a legitimate rivalry right there. Like, if you want to push somebody to be in a heavyweight card, man, you got to beat the man, and you got to have him face those guys that's already in that picture, in that mode, the Seth Rollins. So for him to win and beat him twice, that puts his name up there as a legit heavyweight title contender.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as far as Seth Rollins, man, I always love what Seth Rollins does, and I love when he plays the heel role. I hate when he tries to be the baby face and all that. He's better as a heel. He's more ruthless. He's more conniving, and there's nothing that he would not do. So to see him attack Cody again on Raw because he lost again, that's just Seth Rollins. He's not going to let it go. He's not. Just like with Edge, he's not going to let it go until he is on top. That's Seth Rollins, and I love the storyline.
That's a good call. I get a little brokenhearted when I think about how much Seth does not work as a babyface, because realistically, he should be, based off his real life story alone, the biggest babyface of the company. He's one of us. He's one of us who's the most obsessed of it. He's so obsessed with wrestling and has been since he was a baby that he does this at this level. He has his own school. He has his own fitness camp, all for the sake of wrestling. He's feeding the indies people he's training because he loves it so much. And to see him never click as a babyface, to me, it's a little sad, because it's like, I mean, we've been saying it since episode 1. On episode 1, Seth as a babyface doesn't click. It just doesn't. Something about it comes off non-genuine. And I think what it is, if I'm being honest and nobody who knows anything, I feel like he's able to protect himself with being a heel, where I think he has to be a little more open and vulnerable to who he really is as a babyface. And so he might be holding back, and we sense that. And that's why I think we boo. because we're like, you're holding back, stop holding back. And I think he's protecting himself. And then we proved him right by booing the shit out of him when he was doing it. And he goes, see, I shouldn't have opened up more, right? So I get a little sad that he can't seem to click as a babyface, because I feel like like Brock Lesnar, this guy 10 years later is going to be cheered so hard and be able to reap the rewards of years of good heel work. I think that's what we're going to get with Seth, because I think that in our hearts we know that we need to be cheering this guy. He is one of us, and he puts it all out there every time, you know.
Well, right now he doesn't work as a babyface. It's because he's so good as a heel. If you don't like Seth Rollins, you don't like wrestling.
Yeah,
I get you, but it's just, and I agree. Well, it's just certain guys thrive more as a bad guy. Ric Flair, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, it's
Triple
just
H.
Yeah, it's just that their persona, you know, is something that you probably wouldn't want to root for. Like with Seth Rollins, to me, I look at him as Triple H's son. You know, like that's his bread and guy. Like he built him up, and that's his dude. So with Seth Rollins, he has to have that Triple H mentality, that cerebral assassin mentality, because he got to get it from his dad. Like I think that is how certain wrestlers is. It's just certain people cannot be that baby face. It just don't come off right. Roman Reigns, right?
Yeah.
It just comes off cheesy.
That's because Roman Reigns can't act, but that's okay.
Edge, right? Like look at Edge. They were wasting Edge since he came back, right?
No, but Edge is a great baby face. Edge can do both, though. He's
so limited. He's so limited as a baby face, though. He's limited. He can only do so much. As a heel, look what they doing with him. They're putting him as a Lucifer. Right now.
The Judgment Night thing, or the Judgment Day.
Judgment Day is awesome.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Ref Marsh and I have been talking about this for a while.
Can I speak on that real quick? Real quick, 1 second?
Yeah, let's do it.
I love it because it's kind of DX-like. If you think about it. Now that they got Rhea Ripley, she is playing that China role now. Look at what happened on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
If you watched it, she got in the way. And just because you won't hit a woman, that little slight distraction will help the other guys. And that's what China was doing all the time for Triple H and Shawn Michaels back in the day.
Yeah.
This reminds me of that. Judgment Day. And what he was saying, it's not over. They are recruiting more. I'm telling you, it's going to be more coming. I'm loving Judgment Day. I just wanted to speak on that real quick.
I want to ask you, on the topic of Judgment Day, this promo on Raw, because we saw here in Backlash, that's when Rhea Ripley joined, which, by the way, I thought it was so funny. She jumped up with that hood over, but you could see her pants, and we've all seen her gear, and they're all like, who could it be? I was like, we saw the pants. Like, what do you...
I never saw the pants. I missed the pants.
But...
So I didn't know who it was. I had to go back and watch, and I was like, oh.
I was like, is that Rhea Ripley? But then when she was standing there, she looked real more like a man. You know, obviously she got that manly structure anyway. But when she was standing up before he took the hood off, I was like, oh, I got confused after that, because before she got in the ring, I was like, yeah, that's Rhea Ripley. But when she was standing there, I was like, oh no, it looked like a man. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe is that Christian? Like,
it's
right,
like,
you know what I'm saying?
That's what, yeah. I mean, but I think it's also because she is large, and you forget how large she is when she's around the other women, because she just seems like she towers over them. But then when she ends up there next to a Damian Priest or an Edge, and you go, oh, that person's like the same size. Maybe we're so used to seeing the women go up next to the men and be a smaller stature. So when she was a similar stature, it can definitely create a confusion. What I wanted to ask was, Damian and Rhea, I thought both their times on the mic were really good. My question to you, how much of what Edge is saying are people responding to out of good faith from Edge? I feel like it was the second half, the second time he got the mic after Rhea and Damian talked, that he seemed to kick it up into a notch that I could get into. The whole first half of what he was saying was the same old corny stuff with, you guys are sheep, you guys are ugly, right? And it's just, and it was like the cheap stuff, like the easy to go to, like, you're ugly, we're in shape, you're fat, you guys are dumb. It was just kind of like, are we still doing that?
No, and that's great. You're on point on that because I noticed it too. And it even going into deeper into that, right? When he grabbed Mike the first time, and you know they all do that, you know, but the crowd was yelling and everything, and then they started to stop, and they was trying to listen, and then he stopped himself and started looking at the crowd like, so you can tell like he was sitting there searching for what he was about to present and say to the folks. And then once Damian Priest and then Rhea Ripley had went and said what they had to say, it fueled what he wanted to say. And like you said, the second time he was more on. But the first time, he was stumbling trying to search for what he wanted to say. So I agree with you.
Okay. Again, I love Edge. I think he's so beloved that I think that's why he gets the boos he gets. I don't know that he's doing incredible, quote, heel work as much as he is presented as a bad guy, and we're just saying we're into it because whatever he wants to do, we're going to be on board for it because it's Edge. Yeah. But I felt like that second half was a lot more like there was like a visceralness in there that I was kind of like, or vitriol there that was something I could latch onto from a bad guy perspective for sure.
I just want to say one final thing on Edge. Like, he is a great babyface too. I mean, he from day one he was an awesome babyface. When they did when he came in with Christian and stuff, like, but like when he came back, like that a moment is so emotional. Sorry, I'm trying to stop dog again here. A neighbor dog had the audacity to be like close to my property, so my dogs decided to let him have it. But I just I do think he's doing a great job as a heel. What Ref Marsh and I talked about before, Shakes, was I'm so amazed at how he can turn on a dime and do it and just be so good at it. And it took nothing. It was like one episode. Yeah. They changed his music. He came out. He was a heel. We're like, oh, okay, Edge is going to be a heel now. And we all were like, we're in for it.
You know what I think of, too, is I think to me, sometimes I see stuff on TV that I think should have been done off camera. Like when you think of, like when people talk about Jericho's big heel run in WCW, and they talk about how he was like doing that list of 1,004 moves and how the crowd was just a chorus of boos. Well, during the commercial break, he was talking shit on the town. Chicago sucks. The Bears suck. Ditka's awful. You guys will never win a championship. Getting the crowd to just boo so much that by the time the camera came back on, they were already booing and he can keep doing what he was doing. The first half of Edge's promo felt like that level of crowd work that you do to get the crowd locally to be booing you. But when I'm sitting at home in Arizona and he says, North Carolina's hillbillies, I go, what? And they boo, and then it just doesn't connect the same way, I think, to the entire audience. So I think maybe that was kind of my disconnect with that first half of Edge's thing, is I felt like that should have been done during commercial break to get them booing. So when they start talking about what they're talking about, Marsh, they're already booing.
He lives in North Carolina, so that made it even funnier.
I mean, it made it funny, but it didn't make me go, boo, what a jerk. It was like, he's getting
I know.
Right? You know what I mean? But that's not to say that it's not a useful tool to do, right? So we agree Cody versus Seth Rollins was amazing as a match?
Yeah, that was a good match. Great.
This is Backlash,
It was all right.
And even Cody versus Theory, too. Go ahead, Shakes.
No, I was just saying that was a good opening for Backlash to open it up with.
Yeah.
I was surprised that was the opening match, to be honest. But it was great.
Yeah. I even really liked Theory versus Cody, to be honest. That match was going awesome. Seth interfering, obviously.
It wasn't needed. I don't think it was needed. I think Cody could have won the title, and I don't think it would have taken, or it was the U.S. title.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think it would have hurt Theory at all. I don't think Rollins. It didn't. I thought the Rollins stuff. I just feel like the attention span is a little short now. I didn't need Rollins to come out and attack him. I know Shakes gave great examples of why he loves it and that stuff.
Yeah.
I just feel like when you have Corey Graves calling you out, like Corey was like, so I think maybe they just, I don't know. It just didn't feel, it felt like, because Cody spoke like right before that, he was like, no, Seth Rollins is great. He's like top 5 wrestler of all time. Like he said like the nicest shit about Rollins, and Rollins comes out and attacks him. I'm like, okay, like I just don't, I just don't feel like, I feel like you know what it feels like, Shakes? They don't know what to do with Seth Rollins right now. He's so good, they have to have him on the shows, but they just don't know what they're going to do with him. So I just feel like, oh, what's going to happen?
I think they're missing the mark. You don't know what to do with him. Like him and Kevin Owens, to me, what they was doing was new age.
That was great.
Generation X. That was new age Generation X, and putting them in the tag team mix and having them as the tag team champions or something would have been something that would have been great for Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. These are two guys that are heavyweight champion material guys that are portraying as best friends.
Yeah.
I mean, that should have been tag team champions right there. I no disrespect to RK Bro, because I like what RK Bro doing too, but that should have been a war.
Yeah. I do think that with Seth, I think that he's their current utility to establish credibility and be the next, to be the one to project people into the main event picture. And I think that's what they're doing with Cody. Cody just came back. You can say he's a main eventer all you want, but unless you're seeing him with main event caliber guys like Seth Rollins, it's going to be hard to buy that he's going to be here for the world title. I think the fact that you think exactly your feelings to the Cody match, I think was exactly what they were going for. I think they're teasing a lot of stuff with Cody to get feelers on, if we put the U.S. title, what are people going to say and what would they think? Tease it a little bit, but don't lock it in, because I think they have really long-term plans with him. And I think that the idea of getting Seth involved is to help Cody from being slotted in the mid-card, right? The U.S. title, for better or for worse, is not going to be the main event of a pay-per-view, but they want you to think any day that Cody could be the main event of a premium live event, as it were. I think that you tease the U.S. title because you go, that'd be cool. It would look great on a toy. It's going to match his gear. And it's not going to hurt Theory one bit. But at the same time, they don't want to lock that in, because now they're tasked with getting the title off of him to get him into the main title picture. And I think that I think Seth's utility, as much as they really tried to make the opportunity a Charlotte thing, Seth Rollins truly is that. You get through Seth Rollins and you become on a higher level, where I don't want to get into the Charlotte thing, so I won't say that. But with Seth, he truly is that opportunity to go through a massive storyline that feels big and main event without being the main event. And as soon as you're out, people are questioning how long till you get the title. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what I was getting out of it.
No, that makes sense. Again, less of me and more of you guys, basically, is my credo. That makes so much sense. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I think you could have had any one thing though interfere and not be Seth Rollins to keep the belt off Cody. Yeah. Like it wouldn't tarnish him. Like if somebody else would have came out and interfered and Fury would have won, as long as he didn't get the selfie shot and got over in the match, I feel like you could have. I just don't know that the Seth Rollins Cody Rhodes thing needs to continue on. It's great and I love it, but it felt like Backlash was the crescendo. Like Seth had an argument. Oh, I didn't know who I was going to face at WrestleMania. He got a great match, and it was an awesome match. Like technically everything was really good. So I just thought that would have been a great way to just like butt it up. Then Cody says some great things about him on, so it's like, oh, okay, like
for sure. Like, I think Shakes is right though. I think it was more character driven by Seth to do that. And plus, one thing that we can look back on the last couple of years of Seth Rollins, that man loves Hell in a Cell. And he might be trying to push this to Hell in a Cell.
Well, if we get a like a trilogy of matches with those two, I'm not gonna cry.
Yeah, that's true. And to see them both in Hell in a Cell could be pretty neat.
Hell yeah!
Did you guys love on Raw, quickly before we move away from Theory and Cody, that they brought back the old platform from like the late 80s, early 90s, where they would interview them on the stage, but elevated? You know what I'm talking about? Austin had that, or Theory had that interview with Kevin, and it was on that platform where you could see the crowd behind them. Sort of like how Mean Gene used to do it.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Did not notice that at all.
I didn't really pay. Yeah, I didn't pay too much attention, but that was retro. That was retro.
I get into production stuff. I apologize.
Didn't even dawn on me. Oh no, that's what I told you. Nobody knows more about wrestling shit than Ref Marsh. Look, he pays attention to all this stuff. Like, my ADD brain was doing something else then. So I just didn't. And
what
honestly,
I noticed,
dude, if you showed me, like, Mean Gene interviewing somebody in this and go, hey, this is a throwback, that's the only way I would have ever known. Because I wouldn't have remembered how that looked back then, you know? But it's cool that you have a detail for that sort of thing.
I got a kick out of it because it allowed an interaction with the fans, but still allowed it to be different than being in the ring. So it came off like a backstage interview, but also real close to the fans. So Theory was allowed to turn back and reference them, as opposed to when they do it backstage and you can hear the crowd and they do that kind of like look up, like, is the crowd doing what I think they're doing? This was, I thought, a lot more personal and pretty cool the way it played out either way. So let's see. Moving on. I don't want to keep us all here forever, but I'm loving the conversation. So, and that's the whole deal, man. That's what we do here in the dive bar. It's all about the conversation. That's why I really liked your comments on Cody. Because, I mean, even though that me and Shakes both saw it differently, it's not like your perspective is isolated to you, man. Like, people are thinking that.
Right.
Like, that's why I like talking it through. Lashley and Omos. This is the one where MVP got involved, hit Lashley in the face with his stick there.
Right in the eye. Got him in the eye.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah.
MVP is so good as a Jimmy Hart, Bobby the Brain Heenan type guy. And just like Heyman, I love, like, he's elevating Omos. Yeah. Omos needs it. I don't think Lashley needs it anymore. And you know, I mean, like, it's good. Omos is you know, I think it was just in time, might have been his brother. On Twitter today, we were talking about this, and he goes, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember. Let me look at the feed. But it was related to this topic. And it was, I'm sorry.
Was it the whole, they have this theory where they say that there's no place for giants in wrestling anymore, and they don't think that Omos is doing anything? That's been their kind of thing.
Oh, you know what it was? It was in reference to a Braun Strowman article about did WWE push Braun Strowman correctly, and then, or did they push him too late in his thing, and then when they did push him, he wasn't any good or whatever. And I said, like Veer?
Yeah.
And Justin in time, I think, said he said like Omos. I disagree. I think they're doing really well with Omos, and they're doing really fucking shitty with Veer. Veer's thing sucks, and I hate it, and I don't want to see any more of it. It's awful. Except for, I will say this: was it Raw or was it SmackDown? We did. I don't know if we talked about it. We've kind of gone over it. The guy in Wisconsin actually got some words in edgewise. Yeah. And make like, I got a for my meal and blah blah blah. And he was like, that dude. I was like, kick his ass, Seabass. I wanted him to beat Veer because Veer just goes in and beats up like local guys and like that choke where he's like sideways. Yeah. It's not great. I'm not a fan.
That clavicle clutch they're calling it looks
whatever.
Real loose. It looks real loose. Like it doesn't look like it's getting anything.
If he rolled the other way, he'd be out of it in 2 seconds. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look.
Yeah, I'm not.
I think he should have a different finisher. Go ahead, Shakes. Tell me what you think about all that.
And when they end it too, that.
Go ahead.
All right. So the thing about Lashley and Omos for me is this. I think MVP was great for Lashley. Even going back to their TNA days. Back when TNA, when Bobby Lashley went to TNA, it was MVP that really gave him a lot of relatable things to the crowd.
He elevated his character.
It really did, and it gave him some gumption, right? With guys like Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, those guys are big, huge guys, and they strong and they powerful. But where they lack at? The mic.
They're not good on the microphone.
The mic, right?
Yeah, and MVP is awesome on the microphone.
And in this business, you have to be just as good on the mic as you is in the ring. That's why you give a guy like Brock Lesnar a Paul Heyman the mic work. Now, his mic work going to be just as good as your in-ring abilities.
Yep.
That's what MVP brought to Bobby Lashley. Right?
Yeah.
And so, and then I seen it where Bobby Lashley started to act like, well, I don't need you no more. And he was starting to try to get better on the mic himself. If you can see it, if you noticed. I don't know if you noticed. But Bobby Lashley tries to get better on the mic himself. So now he's acting like better. He don't. Yeah, he does. He has improved.
I would say this Monday, his Raw backstage segment this Monday was, I think, his best.
And so that's why, you give them a Paul Heyman, you give them an MVP, those type of guys. Now with Bobby Lashley stepping up with the mic, now it's like, okay, I don't really need him no more. But who does? Omos.
Yeah.
Omos, out of anybody in the company, needed that spokesperson for him. So giving him MVP was genius. Okay?
I agree.
And then, like he said, like MVP has said, he is the X Factor. He is the X Factor. He is the guy that, because Omos and Lashley are so even, they're even killed, that you just need one little oomph to get the one person over. And that's why now with MVP on the side of Omos, Bobby Lashley ain't going to be able to beat Omos no more, because it's always going to be that X factor of MVP helping him out in any way, whether it's psychologically, like you said, hitting him in the head with the stick. It's always going to be little things that's going to help Omos get over the top to be better and beat Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, I think.
And I don't like Bobby Lashley as a fan.
I think what you were saying is dead on, balls accurate. The other thing I will say is, I like Omos's character so much with MVP that I think he could be champion.
Yeah. And I think that's what it is. And then, sorry, but that's one thing that I didn't like what they did with Braun Strowman though. Because when the factor that I said with that, like usually these big strong guys, they're not good on the mic. So you need a guy to be a spokesperson for him, and you give him a Heyman, you give him an MVP. But with Braun Strowman, he don't even need that. He's good on the mic too. So he should have definitely got his push. They did wrong by Braun Strowman. They really did. And I hope AEW Ring of Honor do something with him, man. Because it was a shame what they did to Braun Strowman. Really.
Ref Marsh hates Braun Strowman, for the record.
I don't hate it. I used to say that I thought he could have been champion, and then by the time he was, I think he was exposed. And if I'm being honest, I know we're going to dig into it a little bit tomorrow night, because the CYN stuff is something we typically cover on Thursday. But if you ask me, everything that he's been putting out since he left has been more edification than anything that he was not ready to be a main eventer. He doesn't even come off like a main eventer in a promotion he started. You know what I mean? Like, he's doing goofy stuff. He's looking silly. He can't. Did you see he just did a thing where he's like showing his new character and he just licks the blade and goes, "Why so serious?" And you're like, you don't even know how to give yourself your own catchphrase. Like,
I don't really watch Ring of Honor like that, so I didn't catch.
Oh, he's not in Ring of Honor. He's in CYN, which is the Control Your Narrative group, which he paid for and owns. And
I thought he
himself.
went to Ring of Honor.
No. But in fairness, he's giving it a go. He's trying, and I think that what he's doing is good for exactly what it is. But I think everything he's doing highlights why he wasn't maybe destined for the top of WWE. But
Just thought he was good on the mic.
Bray Wyatt made him popular, I think, and I think it's because Bray Wyatt is such a great storyteller.
They should have never left Bray Wyatt. I agree with that.
Yeah.
That like right there. That was a great combination. That was the match made it happen. That they just they wasted. They wasted on that.
There were so many misfires with Bray Wyatt. It's tough to just lock one down. I'm a big fan of Sam Roberts here, and he's got a video up on his YouTube of the Bray Wyatt story, and he kind of goes through the entire career, storyline-wise, of Bray Wyatt in WWE, and he breaks down the entire every character thing. And
you made me watch it.
Yeah, and you can attest that there's a certain couple of moments, like it's a consistent thread where he goes, and then they did this and that didn't help any, and then it was like, and then this happened and we're not sure why, and then this happened and it kind of halted his momentum, and it was like this consistent underlying thing, and he wasn't trying to point it out, he was actually trying to tell an incredible, beautiful story arc that this guy created with his own character, but you can't neglect the fact that there's so many moments that were like, and then this should have been a different reaction. This should have been a different conclusion. Like, they had so many misfires with Bray, but that's, I think, a topic for another day. I'm excited, actually, about Omos and Bobby Lashley getting into a cage coming up.
Yep.
I think that's going to be sick.
Omos looks awesome in the ring.
Cage can hold them brothers down.
You think they'll break the side of it open? Because we've seen that spot a few times, and I love it every time.
Yeah.
That cage is coming down.
It's going to be awesome.
That cage is coming down.
Dude, I gotta tell you, I love them doing these cage matches on regular nights now. That is really a cool thing. If you're going to that show and and I love that they're pushing that on the WWE broadcast. Hey, next week, Raw, cage match. Fucking cool.
Yeah, dope. And I do think that the promo that led into that, the Bobby Lashley saying he wanted almost for the cage, I thought was perfect. I thought he did perfect with it, and he sounded awesome. And that was, to me, I was all like, I mean, we've said it over and over again. Every time someone says something or does something, especially on this level, it should be the best you've ever seen them do of that thing, which is one of the reasons why Ronda's first run I thought was so successful, is every match she had was better than her previous match. She was getting better, and you were watching it happen. But I do think that iteration on the mic, that backstage segment with Bobby Lashley, was his best promo to date. Like, I thought it was perfect. And it kind of made me excited to see him do more. Edge and AJ.
Backlash, buddy.
Yeah, Edge and AJ and Backlash. I mean, we talked about what we're thinking about Judgment Day anyways. The match in and of itself, I got no complaints about it.
Does AJ Styles do anything bad in the ring?
I don't think he does anything bad outside of the ring either, if I'm being honest.
No, he's so good. Yeah, no, he's great. Yeah. He's great. Yeah. Again, just in time wrestling. Thank you.
Yeah.
For opening my eyes to AJ Styles. Big fan of him. Big fan of this whole Judgment Night thing. It's great, man. And so Shakes, I told Ref Marsh, I would like to see the Demon in Judgment Night Day. I would like to see Finn Balor's Demon character in. Maybe it's AJ versus all that. Like, wouldn't that be cool?
Ooh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That
could be cool, but
awesome
I do love the pairing of AJ and Balor together right now, though.
That's cool. They're not going to get rid of it. It's too good.
The Bullet Club, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good tag team, man. They should keep that as a tag team too.
I think they're going to for a while.
They can win a couple of tag team titles.
Yeah, I wouldn't bother me one bit.
Titles, man.
Yeah, I'd love an AJ and Balor T-shirt with title reigns behind it. I think it's about time.
I want a. Oh, sorry. I want a Ken Owens.
Ken Owens. We'll get to Ken Owens. I got that listed. Don't worry. We'll talk about Ken Owens. But I do think that Balor and AJ as a team is something that we've been clamoring for since they both joined the company. So I'm glad they're teasing a little bit here. I hope they really lean into it because why not? Like, there's no reason not to. Now's the time. I want to know, Shakes. We've talked about a little bit here with Beard. You got a little bit longer history in watching, so I want to know if you think that I'm on the right track here. The Liv Morgan stuff, especially her getting her fucking ass handed to her by Rhea Ripley, getting very little offense in on this one. I think, whether they're intentionally doing it or not, my mind, because I'm a homer for WWE, I think it's completely intentional. I think they're giving Liv Morgan the Daniel Bryan build. I think she's the female Daniel Bryan, the ultimate underdog that everyone wants, who keeps getting fed, never quite gets near the title, always gets so close that people say she should have got the title then, she should have won the Money in the Bank, she should be getting the tag title. She's the one who's constantly screwed over, that the fans are constantly behind. I think that this beatdown from Rhea Ripley only helps the situation. I think we're going to end up with a massive, massive moment for Liv that everyone's going to remember the same way they remember WrestleMania. That's my belief, my hunch. What do you think about their current storyline with Liv?
It's interesting that you said that. I have to take a deeper look into that because I see the underdog role that you're speaking of.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, just what you said, all the screw overs that she done had. She done had a few title matches that she was so close. So close. Does it remind you of somebody? Well, I'll help y'all out. Becky Lynch. And if y'all can remember back then, before she became the man, right? Yeah. They were doing all that screw job shit on her. And every time it turned around, Charlotte was screwing her over and winning the title over her. Until she finally said, enough is enough. And she whipped Charlotte's ass and said, fuck this, I'm going to be the man, right?
Yep.
So I think the same with Liv Morgan, right? I think that's when it's going to happen, where she just said, you know what? Fuck this. I'm just going to whip people's ass. And she's going to become that little ass kicker, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I think if you say it enough and you wish it, it will become reality. Then I don't know, man. I keep hearing they're gonna do Liv's getting over. She's gonna get over. She's gonna get over, and then we don't see her get over. So I just wonder if there is that big a push for her. But I do hope she gets the opportunity. I wish Kev was on because we know he's in love with her. So
she's a beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman.
He's from New Jersey. I wonder if she's a Giants fan.
She also, she's a Giants fan. Check out Shakedown. I wonder also, or Liv is another perfect example of every time we see her talk, every time we see her wrestle, it's always better than the last time. She's always better every time. She's putting forth all that work, and you can see it. It shows, and it's amazing. So I think that's one of the reasons why the crowd is behind her, why they do buy her merch.
I think that's why the company is pushing her, though, because they see that effort from her.
And I think that people mistake winning for pushes, right? And like you said, the man push happened prior to the man push. Like, Becky Lynch was the most winningest woman for the 2 years prior to the man. They were allowing that slow burn with the fans. I think they're slow burning Liv's fandom because you got to get them up to a fever pitch, right? Otherwise, you just give people what they want and they move on. You got to make people really want it. You know what I mean? And I think that, Yep. And I think that with her, as much as she's losing here and people say she deserves better, people said the same thing about Bianca. When Bianca lost at SummerSlam, Bianca deserves better. Bianca doesn't deserve this. What happened? You know what I mean? We ended up WrestleMania for the second time in a row. they never stopped pushing Bianca. You just stopped, not you, but the fans just thought they stopped pushing Bianca because she had some losses in the way. You know what I mean? Like, and she wasn't the main event all of a sudden. That doesn't mean they're not aware of and not focused on, you know?
Yep. Maybe she won the Money in the Bank. Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan wins the Money in the Bank. That's the push.
Yep.
Liv Morgan wins the Money in the Bank.
I think that it's either going to be Liv Morgan or, you heard it here first, I think there's a possibility Becky Lynch wins Money in the Bank this year. Because, not that she needs it, but it would be like another Brock Lesnar win or a Seth Rollins win where you're like, this person's already had the world title, what are they doing here, right? It wouldn't be the Daniel Bryan win or the CM Punk win where you go, this underdog's getting it, which would be the Liv, which would be the I never thought they would pull the trigger and now this person's going to get it, right? But every now and again, they have a top star who doesn't seem to have an avenue to main event scenes, and they'll utilize it that way too. And I could see them doing that with Becky, you know? So we'll see.
Yeah, I feel like they don't know what they're doing with Becky right now. It's kind of like, okay, are they? Is it going to be the Asuka thing for a while, do you think? Or
I think we'll get that for a little bit. For sure.
I mean, I disagree. I think they do know what they're doing with Becky. You know, I think I like what they're doing with Becky. The only thing is like, this is the challenge for WWE right now. Because it's easy to have Becky as the champion. That's just easy. But how are you going to do when she's not the champion?
Yeah.
How y'all going to, you know, keep her in the story and keep her relevant while she's not the champion? You can do it with Charlotte. You can do it with Sasha. Can you do it with Becky?
Yeah. Especially when you're trying to get like the Biancas to be on the same level as Becky. Bianca's a superstar, no doubt. Becky Lynch is still probably one of the number 1 or number 2 stars in the entire industry. You know what I mean? Like, not just on that show. Bianca's the top star on her show, right? But you got Becky there. How do you keep Becky from overshadowing your champion who you're trying to say is better than or equal to, as well as keep her relevant? It is a difficult balance. You got a top person.
It's a challenge.
Yep. So
I think she's the best wrestler on the roster.
Yeah.
I'm talking man or woman.
Yeah.
Becky Lynch.
Her storytelling ability is ridiculous.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What do you think, Beard? I want to know, Charlotte Flair versus Ronda Rousey. Charlotte Flair ultimately screams, "I quit." Right before that, let's see, the SmackDown had that breakdown pull apart. Her making Aaliyah look stupid, I didn't love. But then we end up here. What was your takeaway from this match? What were you seeing? Because I have a few theories.
So I'll tell you, man. You know, this show has never been a Charlotte fan, and I see something in her these last couple weeks with Ronda Rousey where I think she's liking it. She seems to be enjoying being where before it felt like with the Becky Lynch thing, it just felt painful. This feels like she wants to do this storyline, and she's excited about it. And we're seeing some good stuff from her. I've been a fan, man, and you know, you can debate how good Ronda is on the mic or in the ring. I think she's getting better on all those things every time. Yeah. But I really am seeing like a really positive effort from Charlotte that makes me like I'm enjoying the story. I think she's doing a really good job as a heel for this. Mm-hmm. And I like that her character's going through a little bit of adversity. I think it's time. So it's good, man. I am a fan of this, and I'm not tired of it. I'm no longer walking away from the TV or taking a shit or fast forwarding the Charlotte Flair stuff as of the Ronda Rousey thing. So we'll see how this goes. I think this is going to be a good story for a while. We'll see.
Well, they did announce today on the bump that due to the fractured radius that Charlotte acquired during this match, she will be out indefinitely. They don't have a return time frame for her. I don't know what that
That's
really means.
You think that's kayfabe, right? You think that's kayfabe?
I think a lot of people assume that she's going to be getting married or something along those lines and taking a few months to do that. I'll be honest, I don't know. I would assume it's probably kayfabe, but some of this match seemed crazy brutal, if I'm being honest. There was parts of this match where, I mean, early on, you see Charlotte pop Ronda right in the nose, and you see Ronda's nose start to bleed a little bit, and she's like, she said something that ended in bitch, but she said like some stuff under her breath to Charlotte, and I wonder if it got a lot more snug than they anticipated, if adrenaline got high, and if something didn't potentially happen. I'll tell you, my gut says kayfabe, but I wouldn't rule out the idea that those serious injury actually took place.
I guarantee you Ronda could legit break fucking Charlotte's arm in the ring. Legit. Yep. I seen Tim Sylvia do it to Minotauro Nogueira. Like, yeah. Or was it, I'm sorry, I said Tim Sylvia. My bad. Frank Mir. I watched Frank Mir break Minotauro Nogueira's arm in an armbar right here, radius and ulna, because he knew that motherfucker was not going to tap out. So, and that was a real fight. But Ronda is one of the greatest armbar practitioners on the planet. Yeah. So if there was a shoot in that match, I'd give it to Ronda. Okay,
and that's what I mean is that adrenaline's high. She's trained to do this. She's got more training as an actual fighter than she does as a professional wrestler. If adrenaline was high, if she was trying to maneuver that chair, it's not impossible to think that she hasn't done too many arm bars with a chair involved and could have miscalculated. That's not an impossible thought. I'm not saying it did or didn't happen. I'm saying that I don't personally feel like I could rule it out just because she's trained to do that thing, you know?
An accidental nose punch, I don't think it's going to get Ronda to break her arm. I think it's
not intentionally.
You know what? But here's what you said, though. That let me comment on this, and then I'm done with what here's what if that is truly a kayfabe injury, remember how I said Charlotte feels like she has a really good attitude? Maybe this is it for her. Maybe she is saying sayonara to the WWE. And I agree with that. And I think there's a lot of us that would feel like, oh, you know what? It's probably time for her anyway. So maybe that's why she had because she knew this was like her swan song. She was going to leave. You know, she was a long run champion and stuff like that. So, but we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to be sad if she's gone. But I just want to say, I feel like as someone who's been very critical of her and her matches and being basically a junior wrestler fan, I feel like there are 8-year-olds that know more about wrestling than I do. So I'll just say this. I enjoyed the Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair stuff, and I thought she did a really great job, and I was happy to see if that's the end of it for her. I feel like she went out on her sword a little bit, and it went well. But, it's interesting for you see it differently. So, everybody does. So we'll see. I mean, like I said, I won't be sad if she's gone, but I will say, hey, I kind of appreciate her, giving it the college try at the end there.
Yeah. Right before I go to Shakes, I do want to comment on that and clarify. I didn't mean that Ronda would intentionally break Charlotte's arm. I did. All I meant was that if she had gotten popped in the nose and her adrenaline spiked, I could see her miscalculating on accident. I could see tempers and adrenaline being such that, oops, you know what I mean? Not an intentional injury by any means, but a difficult process to try and do an arm bar with a chair involved. And if adrenaline's up, I don't know. I'm just saying, I wouldn't think that it's an impossible accident to happen with someone who's trained to do that in a weird situation and adrenaline up. You know what I mean? She's injured people in the past with the same kind of concept where her adrenaline was just going. And I mean, she took Alexa Bliss out for almost a year because she oops, you know what I mean? And so I'm not saying because she would intentionally do it. But second to that, I also want to agree with you. I actually thought this match was pretty fucking hard to keep my eyes off of. It was really good, and I thought the same thing. Is this Charlotte Swan song where she really wants to get people who weren't behind her to even recognize what she's capable of, so even those who might not have missed her might start to miss her, and I actually appreciated all that concept as well. Shakes, we haven't heard from you on any of this. Give us what you got.
Well, first off, I want to say that was the match of the night. That was the match of the night. That was an awesome match. I was glued since the bell rang.
I agree.
um, the war itself between those two was awesome because you get the best of the wrestling world in the Charlotte, and then you get like the best of the MMA world, you know, so to speak,
Yeah.
in the WWE. So it was that clash of, you know what I mean, titans,
Yeah.
two titans going at it, and I love that war of that. Now, as far as like Charlotte, she ain't going nowhere. She's not going anywhere. Now maybe she takes a break. Maybe, you know, she takes a little hiatus. She does those things. But she's WWE to the end. Just like Ric Flair, WCW/WWE. Same with Charlotte. She is a franchise player as far as the women's go. So I don't see Charlotte going anywhere anytime soon. She's the greatest female wrestler to do it, to even lace the boots. And I think, you know, where's she at? Like 13 title reigns right now? 12, 14?
Yeah, something.
It's
Well,
changed a few times, whether or not they count
yeah,
NXT or not. So yeah, it's somewhere around there.
because she had all of them. She had the Divas and all that. Well, anyway,
Yeah.
right? Being a 13, 14-time champion, I think that they want to have it, though, by the time she's all said and done, she has double the amount of her dad.
Mm.
You know, like the figure four, she got the figure eight. He's a
Mm.
16-time champion. Well, she'll be a 32-time champion. That's how I see it.
I hope not, but
It's gonna
but yeah, I hope that's not the case. Shakes, there's been a lot of rumors that she might go to AEW, so I feel like I think some of the Charlotte
I can
haters
see them
in
paying
this
them
show.
some money.
What?
I can see them paying her some money, man.
Yeah.
Well, and her boyfriend / fiance or whatever's over there or whatever. I think that
Andrade.
helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
helps spurn a little bit of that. But I don't know, man. Like, you know, if we get what we saw at Backlash from Charlotte going forward, I do want to see her stick around. So I won't say that I'm ready for her to go, but I also won't say if she is gone
You won't
that
cry
I'll be
with
that
her.
sad.
Yeah, you won't
Yeah.
cry with her.
Yeah, I will say also that I think that if she's taking a break, it's got to be a good long break. Like, honestly, 6 months to a year. Because the only break she's ever taken before was like 2 or 3 months, and it didn't feel like 2 or 3 months. I remember when she came back, she even cut some interview where she's all like, well, the fans had never really gotten a chance to miss me, and this time they really did. And I don't know anybody who agreed with that. Everyone said, like, no, we knew you were lurking around the whole time. We never got used to the fact that you weren't about to come back. Like, for better or for worse, I feel like she came back too soon. I feel like there's a lot to be said for being consistent and always showing up. But I do think that with her specifically, she's been what she's been for so long that I think a good 6 months to a year is what it's going to take for the fans to see her come back and cheer. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, let her be missed.
let her get missed, man. But yeah.
I agree.
And I agree with the concept of the rumors. It sounds like it's based around Andrade, and could or could not. It's hard to say. I don't know. I think it'd be hard for her to walk away from WWE because they've given her so much, right? Like, how could she ever have an interview where she says that she was slighted? I know that she was really upset, and I know that Andrade said on a couple interviews when she wasn't in the WrestleMania last year that was like this horrible end-all be-all thing. And it stemmed from that false positive pregnancy test, and it was supposed to be supposedly punishment. And I mean, honestly, if you missed one WrestleMania in all the years you've been there, I don't feel bad for your career. You know what I mean? Like, you've won every other WrestleMania since you joined.
Speaking of Andrade, I know this is WWE and we still on WWE, but Andrade over there in AEW is, I ain't never seen him like this. He's on another level.
That's tomorrow's show.
Yeah, that'll be tomorrow.
Yeah. I know. That's why I ain't want to touch on it too much, but I just wanted to say that
don't.
part.
So, Shakes, just between watching sports, watching hockey, watching soccer, and everything else, I just don't have time to do AEW. Like, I can't keep up with you know, and Ref Marsh does. He is not the biggest AEW fan, but he watches the indies. He watches that other stuff. So if you have a question about it or you want to ask him and we're on the show, it's not going to hurt my feelings. I just know nothing. I'm like a child in the woods. Like, I don't know.
I just also think it's funny because everyone I know,
I'm into it.
Everyone I know who's been watching has been saying the opposite of Andrade. That it's been kind of highlighting his weaknesses and not his strengths. I've seen a lot of people upset about his current thing. I think it's a pretty cool look he's got going on, but again, it's, you know, a comic book look, and I don't love all that.
It's just, I think
you like it, Shakes? You like Andrade?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's been vicious. Like I just never seen him this way. Like you in WWE, he was a bad guy anyway. He was heel, right?
Yeah.
And you know that's fine and all, but he's still a heel now. But right now, he's just way more meaner and vicious. Like you can see him just throw a person across the ring by his arm, hanging there like a chicken wing, and you like, why would, like, what?
Yeah.
And he's just throwing them. He's just throwing them. Like I never seen him this vicious, bro. I mean, watch a match in AEW, you'll see. He's vicious right now.
Yep. Let's see. Last two matches on the card here, we had Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin. I saw a lot of people kind of disregard this match. I thought it was a really good match, and I thought that it showed a lot of. I thought it showed a lot of promise with Madcap. I think he's got a big future.
Madcap put on a fucking clinic. It was great. Well, Corbin's fucking awesome in the ring. If you don't like his matches, you're stupid. I'm not trying to say dumb. That was a good fucking match. That wasn't like the greatest match of all time, but for what that was a great match. And I think they're probably trying to put a crescendo on that storyline and make Madcap a, he's
a fan favorite. They're making him a fan favorite.
He looks the part. He's good on the microphone. He can be a champion. Like, I could see them getting a push with, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not this week or next year, but I could see Madcap Moss being a champion. Yeah. And I think him winning that Andre the Giant thing is an indicator of what they feel about him on the roster.
I think the next iteration of him. Okay, go ahead. I think the next iteration of Madcap is going to be primed for a championship. I think that as it stands, Madcap Moss, suspenders and sneakers, probably not. But whatever he morphs into after this will be primed up because he is that good on the mic. He is that comfortable on the mic that even with like bad material, he's delivering it effortlessly. And I think that whatever his next iteration is, that's going to be your champion. Shakes, what are you going to say?
That, and I like what you said there, and it gives me a little more, because I was disagreeing with Beard, because with Madcap, I don't see this Madcap guy, the character Madcap Moss, not the wrestler, but the character Madcap Moss. I don't see that being a champion.
I got you.
I don't think it's going to be taken seriously.
Well, but we're already moving to that next generation, Shakes. I think you know what I'm saying. Like, he's not going to stay that stupid joke guy.
I don't know, man. I think they're going to milk that for as long as they can. That's what I'm saying. And that's why I don't think he's going to be in the championship picture no time soon. And the reason why I rolled my eye at the match and everything is because I don't really like that war. I don't really like that beef between Madcap and Baron Corbin. I like them together. I think that there was a great pair. A guy that just beats up people, and the guys next to him just cracking jokes on you while you getting your butt kicked. I mean, that was a great combination. And now that they break him up and they trying to make him a baby face, I think it's just pushing. It's just doing too much for me. And as a guy that don't like fan favorites, it just rubs me the wrong way. So when you say it, I'm like, I don't care about that damn match, but I'm pretty sure that it was a great match, but as far as storyline wise, I wasn't really interested.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's fair. And I can definitely see people not, because it has seemed like such an isolated bubble of a storyline. You know what I mean? And I did feel like they could have done more with them as a tag team, and they just didn't do that much with them that long. They were a unit, but not a tag team, and I felt like they could have been a dominant asshole tag team. But I'm such a big fan of the performers, these two dudes, that I'm going to watch what they're doing because I have a lot of hope for their future. And so I'm kind of like watching it on that level where it's like, do I really care that the guy who was telling jokes, 4 guys telling jokes at a guy now? Nah. But what am I seeing here? Am I seeing improvement? You know what I mean? Like, because I watch on that level too at times. And so I can see people being checked out, but I also think here's 2 dudes who are putting in all the work, you know?
Yeah, I exactly opposite of Shakes. I loved that storyline. I felt like they needed to end that when they did end it. But I don't know that we're not gonna see those two back together or attacking each other for a while. They could be playing that up for a bit. But yeah, no, I got you. So
yeah, I think they're gonna carry that for a little while.
Yeah, I think they'll milk it. But whenever the next thing happens, it'll be great. It does bring us to the main event of WrestleMania Backlash Premium Live Event: Bloodline versus RK McBro. We the ones. We the ones. Beard, what did you think about this one? I want to hear from you first because I know that as much as you don't like the Bloodline, most of the time...
No, that was an awesome match.
Yeah, I was going to say, most of the time the bell rings, you're usually pretty happy with the match. You know what I mean? So...
Yeah, no, I had no problems with this match. I thought it was a great match. I pretty much figured the Bloodline was going to win. So I think if McIntyre and RK Bro would have won, though, would anybody have been pissed? I mean, Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre are pretty big names. Riddle is becoming a big name. I love that RK Bro. Yeah, no, I mean, it almost felt like they moved on from the Usos trying to get all the title. I think they finally realized that was the stupidest fucking idea ever. So, I don't know. I'm probably way off, and they're still going to go after all this. But I did see that, like, a house show, Roman Reigns said that he might be leaving. Like, soon.
He said that his schedule, he was entering a new phase of his career, and he may not be back to Trenton, New Jersey. And I think the speculation right now is that he's not going to be doing house shows, that he'll be doing TV and pay-per-views and premium live events exclusively.
Right, because he's going to be doing movies because he's such a great actor and on the microphone and stuff. I guess it helps when your cousin owns a production company in The Rock.
Do you think he's like that all the time?
Who?
Roman. Do you think that's just what he's like all the time, the way he talks?
No, I like Roman. Like, I don't hate him as a human being or anything like that. I just give me a reason why I need to be invested in the Bloodline that's not their family wrestled or that they're cousins with The Rock. I mean, Randy Orton's a 3rd generation wrestler. Cody Rhodes is a Seth Rollins and his backs. You know what I'm saying? Even when we talk about Veer and how they're mismanaging that, I just okay, I get it. You know, that's cool. The cancer thing, that story, I like. So I've come around with the WWE evil thing because it's like, yeah, you know, I get out. Paul Heyman doesn't like nice people. Shakes here in with Paul Heyman. You should watch the WWE evil shows because they're good. Talks about heels.
I've seen them all.
Yeah, there you go. For me, it's like, okay, it's fine. I just, you know, I just feel like that whole storyline's a dead horse. For me, the WWE doesn't move storylines along fast enough sometimes, and I usually eat shit by saying this stuff, because when they slow play it ends up usually being better, and then I'm like, oh, and Ref Marsh has to talk me off the ledge, and I'm like, oh yeah, or Bishop or somebody comes in and is like, oh, this is why they're doing that, moron, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right, it's so much better. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's the match was great, and it was fun, and it was a great way to cap it off. So we'll see. I'm interested to see where they go with this because, like, they have done nothing with people challenging Roman at all. I mean, I feel like they've almost eliminated the people that are on his level. If Brock would have beat him at WrestleMania, they could have carried that story all along. I know Lesnar's contract was probably up, so I don't know where we go from there. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I know that Ref Marsh has talked about McIntyre being the next guy. I like Drew McIntyre. He despises him. I don't know where you're at with this, Shakes. I'm assuming you don't like Drew McIntyre because you like heels.
I hate McIntyre.
I call him Mac and
Which
Fart
Ref
still.
Marsh says he is a heel, so
Yeah.
So you should like him if you take Ref. But yeah, I know it was a good match.
Yeah, I think this match also teased McIntyre and Roman. I think it teased Roman and RKO. I think that as much as it was going to take a little bit of work, I think right now we're still looking at Shinsuke in the contender for a Roman match. I think we're looking at Randy. I think we're looking at Drew. I wouldn't be surprised if we had an iteration of Riddle in there with Roman at some point. Like, I think what we're showing is, I think this was a utility to try and show people on a higher level towards Roman to try and get multiple opponents out of it. Shakes, what do you think about all this?
Well, all right. First off, right, let me say, I don't like fan favorites, right, but I give credit where it's due, seriously. And that RKO on Monday night by Riddle,
Sick.
Montez Ford, that was better than Randy Orton's. Any RKO that Randy Orton has had in history, that was better than that. Just because he was still laying down. He was still laying down when Montez Ford got into the air. He was still laying. Do y'all not understand?
Yeah,
No, I mean, I thought that was incredible. What did you think about the Backlash match between?
No, I'm gonna get into that. But
I'll get there.
that was amazing. Okay,
It was
I ain't
cool.
never seen nothing like that. Shout outs to Riddle for that one.
Fucking
Now,
awesome.
as far as the match is concerned, I was disappointed because at first it was supposed to be a unification tag team title match. And why did they even change that? I was confused about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, I guess you want to throw in Roman Reigns on the card. I get it. But why did that have to stop the tag team unification match? That
Did confuse me too. I didn't understand. Yeah, because I was like, oh, did the Usos win the titles then? And then like Monday, I was like, oh no, I guess they didn't. So
right.
I was confused with that too.
Yeah, I didn't like that. But as far as the match was concerned, oh man, the match was amazing. It was amazing. They was all over the place. Everybody did their thing, and then for the way it ended, right? What happened? Somebody got put through the announce table. Roman took out somebody else, and then speared Riddle to win the damn. Like, Roman just showed his dominance. And the end of that match, which he took a RKO and he took a Claymore kick, right? He took all that in the match, and then to end it the way he ended it, taking out all three of them, dominant. Roman Reigns is the greatest wrestler of all time. Y'all can't tell me no different. No different. You can't do it. So yeah, it was a good match.
If I had to venture a guess as to why, because I'll be honest with you, the confusion of why the unification didn't take place, if I were to try and scope out a little bit, my belief would be that we have Hell in a Cell coming up June 5th. That may be where you see it, but at the same time, we then have Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, Clash at the Castle, probably a Saudi event, and Survivor Series. The preceding 5 events after Hell in a Cell are all stadium shows. They got to sell 60 to 100,000 tickets for all those shows. So we are going to start having real big cards coming up back to back to back to back to back. They could be saving that for a larger venue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
Because
I think that's the only reason.
I think that's the only reason why you'd pull back on it. Yeah, because RK Bro talked about it on Raw that they still want those. They still want to take them from the Usos. You know, So I think we'll get there at a larger venue is my hunch, but I don't know.
Let's hope that happens.
And as far as McIntyre, I can't stand him because he's just so cheesy. He is the epitome of playing to the crowd. You know, it's just like, look, I'm gonna say what y'all want to hear, so y'all can cheer for me. So he's just gonna give y'all all the punchlines, all the things, and it's just so corny to me. McIntyre, he just rubs me the wrong way. I can't stand McIntyre.
I'm gonna give him an amen. I'm gonna do one of those.
I mean, I hate for both of you that you don't like nice things. I just don't. I feel sad for you that you don't like great things in life. I don't get why you don't
like
that fucking Adonis.
Don't like the happy.
Drew McIntyre.
Hey, look,
but whatever.
It's
you don't
wrestling,
like nice
man.
things, that's cool.
Hey, it's wrestling. You're supposed to ass kick, right? Not play for the crowd. Kick ass. That's why I like the black guy.
Yeah, you. I got
It's all
you.
good. It's all good. I do think he's really good. I just think there's aspects to his character that I'm just cannot get behind. And I think he's corniness. I don't like the sword. I know that you keep saying the sword is like Hacksaw's 2x4. Except Hacksaw,
he never uses it in matches.
But Hacksaw did. Hacksaw used his
I know,
his
because
2x4.
a 2x4 won't cut a person in half.
That's my point. That's exactly my point. That's exactly why I have a problem. I wish he brought out something else.
Right.
Well, I mean, a kendo stick. I
know.
just think it's a cool prop for his character. He doesn't have to use it in a match.
I get it, but then he brandishes
if
it.
Jim Duggan doesn't have the 2x4. You don't know who the fuck he is. You know?
Yeah, but he would use it. So I'm saying, like, what I liked when he did it is I didn't have as big a problem with it when Drew would leave it at the top of the stage during the Thunderdome era. He would stick it in the ground on his entrance, and then he'd walk to the ring, and so he'd be like, "Yeah, that was it." But now that he waves it around, he's like, okay,
and puts it right on the side of the ring and all that. Like, come on,
that to me, that's when it went a little bit much for me. So.
Like maybe if they did, y'all ever been to medieval times, right? Maybe you get like one of those type of swords, wooden type of swords. I can see that. Then you can hit somebody in the head with it, and then
that'd be cool.
You can win a match, right?
A nice wood one, and you could actually whap a dude with it. That'd be cool, actually. But I mean, I digress. I understand also that's nitpicky and all that stuff, but that's my issue with the sword is when he swings it at people. I'm like, you're not gonna hit someone.
Maybe you should just cut people's heads off with it. You'd be happy. And it would be great.
At least he used it.
Like when he cut the rope. When he cut the rope at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
That was corny, man.
Okay.
I just like he finally used it. I was like, well, at least he used it to cut something finally.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But I did think the main event was pretty badass. I actually really liked. So, Shakes, I don't know about you. I'm not a big Street Profits fan. I find them corny as hell. I think they're the kind of people that I wouldn't want to hang out with at a party. Really obnoxiously loud for no reason. I think they come across to me like children saying, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, and then they don't do anything. And you're like, okay, what are you doing? That's just to me. I think they're also incredibly talented, and I understand why they have a massive fan base. It's just not me. I think I would clash with them. Montez, we're starting to see a more serious side of Montez, and I'm really liking that. He's talking more serious, more guttural. His selling is still too cartoonish for me, but he's becoming more serious with his facial expressions and on the mic. Dawkins is not. So Dawkins, I think, is starting to get to that point where he's starting to slow down Montez's growth, in my opinion. I do feel like this match, as much as I tend to skip Street Profits matches, I did watch this one. I was really into it. I loved this match. I thought they did an awesome job. Apart from a few spots that came off to me corny and cheesy, I don't like Montez's Superman jump out of the ring. I think it's like a kid on a trampoline. But I thought the match was dope. I thought it was really good. But to the point of a lot of fans like Street Profits, I'm not sure if you're a Street Profits fan yet, but I would say that if you are you starting to think that their consistent losses is beginning to hurt their credibility? Because in my mind, they're challenging too often and losing too much. They're not building towards those title shots. They're just getting them and losing them a lot now. It's been almost a year since they've lost every single title shot they've gotten, and I think it's starting to hurt their credibility personally. Shakes, I want to know what you think.
First off, I'm 50-50 on the Street Profits. And the only reason why is because they are fan favorites. Now, if they was heels, right? If they was heels, I'd be their biggest fan, right? And the reason why, and I'm gonna tell you the reason why, right? The reason why is I don't think it's a match. Just like what you just said, the constant brashness of them, the cocky, look at me, look at me, look at me. That's for somebody you want to boo.
Yep.
You don't want to cheer that person. You don't want to cheer that person. You want to boo that person. So their cockiness for me is the reason why I like them. I just think that WWE is doing wrong by them letting them be fan favorites. Now they're trying to do a little more aggressive with them. So hopefully they will make that full transition to being a heel tag team.
Yeah.
And when they do that, then I think that they'll go over the hump with that.
I can see
But
that for sure.
being a fan favorite, I think that is what's holding them back. And that is what's holding them down because they're still trying to play to the crowd instead of just being the cocky motherfuckers that they are and just saying, look at me. Look what I can do. I can fly to the sky. Look, you know, you want to be like, man, that's an asshole. You know, that they need to make them heels. And then when they make them heels, I think they will be a better tag team.
I can see that for sure.
That to me, that's what I see with the Street Profits.
I see that for sure. Beard, did you want to throw in anything on that? Or are you ready to move along?
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the Street Profits, but I'm with you. I could see. It always feels like Dawkins is kind of maybe holding them back a little bit. I would just say this. I think, I like to hear what you guys have to say about them because I was a fan of them, but I could see Montez Ford kind of going on his own for a bit, maybe, and seeing what they could do with that character. And it does feel like they're trying to transition them into heels a little bit, but sort of like they're popular, but they're going to be heel-ish. You know what I'm saying? And that might be a cool thing. So we'll see. I mean, I wanted to ask you a question, both of you, about that match. This is the Raw match. Was that the what Riddle, I think, took out Randy Orton with the Swanton outside the ring or something like that? That was, I wondered what you guys thought of that.
It was a weird spot because I felt like it looked more, which maybe is what makes it a great spot, is I felt it looked more like an actual miscommunication than it did look like a spot that was meant to happen. But that could be what makes it so fucking good when you can't tell that it wasn't supposed to happen. You know what I mean? Like, that was my impression. When it happened, I was all like, what the fuck? And then you kind of see it. Corey says a rare miscommunication.
I watched it back. Montez gets out of the way.
Does the camera catch it really well?
Yeah.
Okay, then I must have blinked during that moment because I felt like I didn't see Montez get out of the way. I felt like is what I missed. So I probably just missed that actual moment.
He got way out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought he was just way too far away. I didn't see him leave the area. So I must have blinked or something or turned my head during that quick shot because it all happened pretty fast. So in that case, then Shakes, what do you think?
I actually didn't see what y'all saying, so elaborate more what y'all talking about.
Well,
Riddle went flying to the outside. Yeah, where Montez and Randy were tussling, and Montez dives away, so Riddle hits Randy head on and knocked Randy out.
Oh, okay. I had to go back and see it myself, but
That's cool.
you know, as long as these wrestlers, right? Because first and foremost, they do these moves and everything, but they have to they practice it, and they have to make sure that they get it down pat to where they don't get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So when you saying this thing, and like I said, I can't recall it. I would have to go back, but to do that and still have him come out safe in the end, because that's a dangerous thing to just somebody in the air and then there's nobody to brace his fall. So for that.
Yeah. Just a couple more things. We're almost done here. Don't even worry about it. I just really have only two things left. One, And well, I'll just shout out real quick. I thought Asuka and Bianca did an amazing job. I thought Becky's involvement in there, if we get a triple threat, I'm thrilled. All three of them are upper echelon talent.
The only thing I didn't understand why Asuka and Bianca were wrestling, but that was fine.
Yeah. That's kind of how I felt about it too. It's like, well, I'm getting a teaser of a match that we'll see later, and I was happy with it.
And I mean, it legitimizes her for contenders in the future.
Yes. So. Yep. Absolutely. What do you guys think about Alexa Bliss being back?
That's cool.
Yeah. Kind of missed her, but
yeah.
At the same time, you kind of forget how good she really was.
Yeah.
You know, her being gone so long, you kind of forget, like, she was a dominant at one point in time.
Yeah.
Like, she was a dominant champion at one point in time. So
yeah,
you kind of forget about that. And let me just say this about Asuka though. With Asuka coming back, I want to see her and Xia Li have a rivalry. China versus Japan.
Yeah, because they don't hate each other enough already. No,
right? Right.
You know, not to gloss over the Alexa thing, or the what you were saying, Asuka versus Xia Li. That will happen. I you know, I almost guarantee we will see that story-line at some point, as long as those two are on the roster. But I want to talk about Sonya Deville losing her fucking job, baby. That was funny. Man. That was awesome.
Great.
We knew it was coming,
that was a long
too.
Day coming,
it
right?
was great.
That should have been happening, man.
Yeah.
Hey, look, y'all know I love the heels, right? And y'all can tell, like, I like Vince McMahon and Stephanie and Triple H and all that, the abuse of power. And even me, that loves a person like that, was annoyed by how she was abusing her power.
Yeah.
She really abused her power. I mean, she ain't hold no bones, I'm going to do it that I want to do. Oh, I want a title match. I'm going to put myself in a title match. Like, she ain't had no remorse of what she was doing.
Well, the three she made her do 3 matches in a row.
Yeah.
And she did that twice.
She was going to my baby Naomi.
Yeah, she did it to Naomi and Bianca. So, yeah, I thought that was all played out great. It was awesome. And then Alexa's new entrance, the new music, the new look. It seems to be like what I like about it, and I think to keep it simple, we saw her go through the therapy sessions, which, you know, like it or not, they were what they were. They were a mechanism to...
Didn't mind them.
They were a mechanism to, well, for one, keep her on TV, but for two, explain a transition in this character where she's going to be somewhere more towards the middle. The music was half goddess, half fiendish. I don't know what to call it, the Lily thing. But also, I don't think we're going to see Lily with special powers anymore. I think we're going to see an Alexa that is still admires Lily. You know what I mean? But the therapy session was about how there was no power in the Lily. The power was in herself. So I think we're going to stop seeing the mysticism from Lily. And I think we're going to see a little bit more of a dual personality in a different kind of way with Alexa. I think we're seeing some actually cool character growth. I know a lot of people were saying just put her back as the goddess. I prefer when they don't pretend something never happened, but still incorporate a little bit of it in someone's character. I think this is all like, hey, that never happened. It's not that never happened.
That's a side of her. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. That's going to be a side of her forever now, and we're going to be going on a different side of her, but don't forget.
It's like Mick Foley wearing a Dude Love t-shirt or something. You're like, oh, yeah, that's cool. It's a throwback, but you don't need to know. Like, we don't need Lily being a part of the story.
Yeah.
She's a good enough wrestler and good enough showman and good enough on the microphone. We just don't need.
Yeah.
We don't need her. Yeah. And her break was, I know she had injury, but she also got married too, like right around the same time Corey Graves and Carmella got married. So like, you know, it was just, I think she was just like on a hiatus. And I wanted to ask you, Ref Marsh, because we got the women's story stuff is so intriguing. There's so much going on. And you and I have been on this, and we haven't said her name a lot, but are we going to see Bayley back soon? I'm wondering.
I think it's a matter of time now. I think that we're real close. Yeah. I think now everyone's back.
Yeah, like a big pay-per-view, maybe the Money in the Bank or something like that. But yeah, I think
No Hell in the Cell.
Good.
You think Money in the Bank or
Imagine
SummerSlam?
Something big.
Yeah, she's
Something
a big one.
big.
Do you think they do the Kane thing? Have her show up to Hell in a Cell and rip the door off?
Man, that would be fucking cool.
Right? She's like, I've been in the gym ever since.
Yeah. Put your leg up on the cage and her new bionic knee just. Yeah. So dope. And speaking of the women, as a quick side note before we talk about the last thing, Doudrop and Nikki, I'm loving as a team. I know we just barely got them started. I want to see that run for a while. I love those two together.
You know what that is like? Doudrop is kind of like, it looks like what it is going to be Doudrop smacking some sense into her and saying, stop being so silly. You're not a superhero. Just come on and wrestle, man. Like, I think that's what they're doing with that. So, yeah, I'm interested.
Think they're going to get rid of the
storyline.
Nikki ASH thing?
I think so.
I think they're not sure what to do with it at a certain point. Yeah, I think they had a lot of hopes. Yeah, and I think they just don't know where to go from there. But, I mean, I loved it, but I do think that they're getting to a point where it's like we're not sure what to do with this superhero gimmick anymore.
Yeah, it ran.
Well, she got that title, didn't she?
Oh, yeah, I loved it. I wanted her to keep it.
She got the title, and then she went to be a tag team champion. So,
yeah,
but it ran its course, man. It ran its course.
Yeah, and Nikki's so good. She could do anything. The last segment we haven't talked about, we teased about it. We definitely want to make sure we talk about it before we wrap this one up. Ken Owens confronts Ezekiel, comes out, tells Ezekiel that...
Elias.
No, that's Ezekiel, man. Confusion happens all the time. They're always getting mixed up, but that's... I mean, if you look, there's a new shirt online. There's a new shirt that says, I am not Elias, and it's a picture of Elias and Ezekiel together with their arms around each other.
I saw that Photoshop bullshit. That was really good.
So good. So good.
And you know what, Ref Marsh? So I don't know if Shakes knows the backstory. Shakes, I'm a big Pat McAfee fan. I watch his show every day.
I hear you.
And they went to high school with Elias. They know Elias. Unfortunately, they never met his younger brother. But Nick Moraldo, one of the guys who produces and is on That's Hockey Talk for Pat McAfee, like him and Elias are best friends. Like they've known each other forever. A lot of wrestlers. Corey Graves is from Pittsburgh. Pat, obviously, from Pittsburgh. A lot of wrestlers come out of that Pittsburgh area, and so like they're kayfabing this in real life. Oh yeah, they're talking about like, yeah, it's unfortunate we never got to know Ezekiel. He's too young or whatever. And like, so like they're kayfabing this Ezekiel thing like it's pretty good. Even in the real world, they're like, oh yeah,
Elias,
yeah.
I love it. You all are liars. And I love Kevin Owens, man. Right? Like, I love him, man. Like, I love him. Like, y'all liars.
I personally was shocked.
Stop lying. I hate fucking liars.
I was absolutely shocked when Ken Owens removed a wig and announced he was actually Kevin Owens. I felt blindsided. I felt utter shock. I was like, what is happening? I had to rewind it.
Trying to prove a point, okay? Trying to prove a point.
Weren't you hoping for 6 weeks of Ken Owens? I mean, I was. That hair alone was. I look. First of all, put up the Stone Cold belt. I will always love Kevin Owens. If I never saw him do another thing I liked, what he did for Stone Cold, I fucking love. But I will tell you, and we say this all the time. I use this analogy all the time. When he met Stone Cold years ago at an airport, blah, 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 and Stone Cold told him, fuck the moves, get on the microphone. Like, that's where the money's at. Kevin Owens is one of the best in the business on the mic and in the ring. He is so good. I love everything that guy does. It's always well done. There's always a ton of effort. He is hilarious. He works as a babyface. He works as a heel. He is so versatile. I just think he's like the MVP of, most valuable wrestler, MVW or whatever. That guy is so great. You could put him in any Sami Zayn right there too, but like Kevin Owens can be in for the championship. He could be in for anything. And I guess was Elias and Kevin Owens teamed up a lot back in the past, Ref Mark?
Not a lot, but for a short period of time they were.
So anyway, there's some history between the two of them, and it's funny. So it's good.
It's hilarious, man. It's hilarious. I love this skit. I love what they doing with it. It's like, you all are liars. I hate fucking liars. Like, I hate liars. Like, oh, man, it's amazing. Man, it's amazing.
Which is that slight twist. It was only a couple months ago he was being honest Kevin Owens, remember? Just a few months ago, Kevin Owens was talking about how honest he is and how he would never lie. So I love that it's going this direction.
Yeah, man, it's awesome, man. He's wonderful. He's great.
He could come out as a babyface next week, and we'd be like,
yeah. I honestly thought
I can never hate Kevin Owens.
I thought with Hell in a Cell coming up. Oh yeah. I thought with Hell in a Cell coming up, I thought we were gonna get a Kevin Owens and Ken Owens versus Elias and Ezekiel. Like I thought we'd see a tag match there. I thought that would have been really cool, but
how the hell would they have done that?
They have curtains. They have like little box curtains where the guys
holograms.
What? It's a hidden tag team match. Yeah. Kevin's older brother. I wonder if he actually does have an older brother. That would be great.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. I think Alpha Academy is doing awesome with it too. But yeah, this whole thing. This is probably my favorite storyline going on right now. Yeah. Shush. I think my favorite story is the Ezekiel one because it's such a meta story to make fun of the IWC, the Internet Wrestling Community, because they have such a hard time with the changing of names. Haircuts are hard for them to deal with. They can't seem to understand how a rebranding can happen. I even tweeted out about it. I said, if with the IWC having this much of an issue with haircuts and name changes, it makes me think they don't have a lot of female friends. Because my women friends cut their hair every couple weeks. They have a whole new color. They change their last name whenever they get married. Like, name changes and hairstyles change all the goddamn time anywhere but wrestling.
Them, right?
Yeah.
Nothing to them.
So for wrestling fans to be like, a haircut? What? I saw people tweeting out saying, like, look, Edge looks good, but it's going to take me a long time to get used to it. What the fuck is that about? But the idea that we have this Ezekiel Elias thing and Kevin Owens is the voice of the IWC is so genius. I still laugh when I think about how the Ezekiel and Ciampa was in the back. Kevin Owens comes over and says, no, that's Elias. And Ciampa goes, that happens all the time. The confusion happens. That's his younger brother, actually, Ezekiel. Kevin Owens goes, why are you doing this? I love it.
And my bad, Beard, but do you remember when they was going against the Alpha Academy? Mm-hmm. And they had him at the show, and he was like, thank you! And he said, well, why do you say it like that? Why does he say it like that?
Oh, yeah. Owens is incredible.
And they're great, too. Alpha Academy's great. Hey, I see Otis is growing his beard back, which I'm always a fan of people growing beards. So, but initially, I think Ref Marsh and I talked about Ezekiel, and I wasn't around for Elias. I'd never seen him before. Because I didn't come back till SummerSlam last year. We're coming around on this Ezekiel thing, right? It's really good. I think initially we were like, what the fuck are they doing with this? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But then now it's great with the Kevin. Like, I think once Kevin Owens became a part of it, it's made it great. Yes. It's literally Kevin Owens can elevate a rusty penny. Yeah. He's so great. He just pennies don't rust, but
dude, absolutely.
Yeah, he makes them. Yeah, I mean, him, like you said, him and Sami Zayn, man, they one of a kind, and for them to be best friends, like, come on, man, it's awesome.
Yeah,
that would be a tag team. I would be sad to see Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens.
I'm upset that they don't do it more. Man.
Me too.
They tease it, and then they go away from it. Then they tease it again, and then they go away from it, and then they tease it some more, and then they go away from it. They really should make them a tag team, man.
Dude, I still have the yep shirt. Right? Yeah, fuck around with staples.
Hey,
I still have
Marsh.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Oh, I have the Shakes. I still have the Yep shirt when they were teaming up against Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
I got that. Beard, what were you about to say?
I was just gonna say, how great would it be if you got somehow they could do Elias and Ezekiel at the same time, like not on the set at the same time, but like have have Elias and Kevin Owens team up, and then Ezekiel is just a separate thing. I don't know, that would be cool too if they could pull it off.
They did do a Mick Foley interview once where Mankind introduced Dude Love, and Dude Love talked to Mankind. They even high-fived, and then he said, but this isn't a match for me, it's for my buddy. And then Cactus Jack walked on screen. So I would not be against if they did something like that.
Jack came out,
Yep.
Yeah, promo, like they'd have to do it behind the scenes so they could cut and edit and stuff. But like that
if
would
they
be
did
fun.
it, I would love
it.
it.
They could do a fun storyline with that to keep the Ezekiel thing going for a while. And it's an excuse to kind of let Ezekiel be whatever like he's the Ultimate Warrior or whatever. I don't know what his character, like he's wearing the ties and stuff. He doesn't have a too flashy of a outfit or anything. It's just kind of like, oh hey, I'm in really good shape and yada yada yada. Here I am. I'm Ezekiel.
I would love it, guys. I think I'm ready for last call, so I want any final thoughts from you, Beard. I want you to give the floor back over to Shakes. I want Shakes you to tell everyone how to find you at Shakedown, and we'll close up shop after that.
Yeah, I don't have anything, man. I'm really excited about what we're going to see in the next couple of months. Super awesome to have Shakes on. I love that you guys agreed on a bunch of stuff. That'll get you back on the show, Shakes, for sure. No, but you know your shit. It's great. I think the whole time I couldn't keep the smile off my face. I love having you. The sound of your voice brings joy to me. So I love having you. I'm glad I get to work with you in several different platforms. Check out Shakes on the Shakedown crew, the Shakedown Sports Podcast. Ref Marsh, if you could drop a link in the chat, would be great, or I can do it. Yeah, man, thank you so much for coming on. We're glad to have you, and I don't think this will not be the last time you're on the show. Honestly, I think you do well on the Thursday show too, because you it sounds like you watch a shit ton of wrestling, and Ref Marsh, that's his MO. Like he's all about watching the indies and AEW and all those other things. Where I just have time for the WWE. I'm being realistic with my time management, but I'm super glad to have you on.
Yeah. We have a spot open on Thursday night. We got Clump ducked out, so if you want it, we can figure it out. But Shakes, I appreciate you coming and having a drink with us. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, at Shakes NYG on Twitter, Shakes Montana on Facebook, Shakes Tanino on Instagram. So check me out on any of my social media platforms. Definitely follow the YouTube channel at Shakes TV. Also, the Shakedown Show. So just the Shakedown Show on YouTube. And our website, the ShakedownSportsPodcast.com. Check us out. We do a lot of good content. We don't just talk about Giants. We talk about all sports. So whatever fan base that you're a part of, join us, because we will be talking about y'all. And that's it, man. Thank you for having me, man. This was awesome, and I definitely want to get another shout out. If you can let me know what time tomorrow, maybe I will be here tomorrow for that show as well. I love talking wrestling. Anytime you want me to be on the show, I am more than happy to go ahead and be on the show with you, man. This is awesome. I love talking wrestling, as you can see. And I don't get to do it much, so.
Yeah. I'm going to actually, instead of dropping the link in the chat, what I'm going to do is the description of the YouTube show. I'm going to put all the information in the description itself, so it's easier to come across than in the chat. So
perfect.
But I will be doing that. I just wanted to show this real quick. I ended up getting it. I got the $1 billion bill, so I may be retiring soon. Now that I have the Vince McMahon $1 billion, I don't know if I still need to do it or not.
Yeah, You can just relax and sip some Mai Tais now.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll get in your DMs. We're gonna find out what time we're going tomorrow. It fluctuates a little bit here and there depending on people's schedules and stuff. So we'll see if it's possible. Other than that, we will be back tomorrow night for a brand new episode 1 right here in the dive bar of the IWC. Guys, that's the last call.
Cheers. I'm out of water.
You continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.